Imagine a tiny bee buzzing from flower to flower. This little worker will produce just 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its entire lifetime. Yet somehow, we humans harvest over 1.8 million tons of honey globally each year, enough to fill 600 Olympic swimming pools. This incredible contrast reveals the massive scale of beekeeping operations happening worldwide. I'm going to show you exactly how that happens. From the moment a bee collects nectar from a flower to the high-tech factory operations that get honey into your grocery store, you'll never look at that squeeze bottle of honey the same way again. If you enjoyed this peek into the world of honey production, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing stories and insights. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Ever wonder what happens inside a beehive? It's actually nature's most efficient food production system. Let's follow a single worker bee on her amazing journey to create that golden sweetness we love to drizzle on toast. Our little worker bee leaves her hive on a mission. She might travel up to 5 miles from home in search of the perfect flowers. That's like walking across an entire city just to grab lunch. Her sisters are all out there too, part of an incredibly organized workforce operating with military precision. This tiny flyer has a challenging job ahead. To fill her honey stomach, yes, bees have a special stomach just for nectar, she needs to visit between 100 and 1,500 flowers. All this while dodging hungry birds, avoiding sudden rainstorms, and racing to beat the setting sun, nature's ultimate multitasker. When she lands on a flower, her proboscis, a specialized straw-like tube, unfurls from her mouth. She sucks up the sweet nectar and stores it in her honey stomach, completely separate from her regular digestive system, keeping the nectar pure during her flight home. This biological storage pouch is the first crucial step in honey's journey from flower to jar. Back at the hive, the real transformation begins. Our forager passes her precious cargo mouth to mouth to the house bees through a process called trophallaxis. This bee-to-bee food sharing looks like they're kissing, but they're actually transferring valuable nectar to the next workers in this living production line, where nature's chemistry begins its magic. The house bees function as nature's first processing department. They add special enzymes from their own bodies to the nectar, including an important one called invertase. These enzymes break down complex sugars into simpler ones like glucose and fructose. They're essentially pre-digesting the nectar, making it more stable and less likely to spoil, like tiny chemists working around the clock. Once this chemical transformation begins, the partially processed nectar gets deposited into the hexagonal honeycomb cells. Still too watery at this point, about 70% water, the bees employ another clever technique. They fan their wings like miniature living ventilators, creating airflow through the hive that evaporates the excess moisture until the honey reaches just about 18% water content. The bees, acting as master food scientists with built-in testing equipment, can detect when the honey reaches that perfect consistency. When it's neither too watery nor too thick, the house bees make their move. Then comes the preservation step. The bees seal each cell full of ripened honey with a cap made of fresh beeswax, creating an airtight seal that prevents the honey from absorbing moisture from the air. This natural preservation system is so effective that archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that was still perfectly edible. Honey is literally the only food that never spoils when properly sealed. This incredibly efficient system means a single hive can produce anywhere from 60 to 100 pounds of surplus honey each year. Far more than the bees themselves need to survive. It's this excess production that allows beekeepers to harvest honey without harming the colony. That excess honey production is exactly what beekeepers are after, but harvesting it requires perfect timing and specialized knowledge. Collecting too early means the honey isn't properly ripened, while waiting too long means missing the peak production window. And that's before they even face the challenge of approaching 80,000 defensive bees, each armed with a painful stinger and a strong instinct to protect their home. Let's watch as our beekeeper prepares for harvest day. First comes the protective gear. That full-body white suit creates a crucial physical barrier between sensitive human skin and potential stingers. Beekeepers need this gear because bees can detect and become agitated by the carbon dioxide in human breath. The veiled helmets are essential as they diffuse your breath away from the bee's sensitive receptors. But the real secret weapon in a beekeeper's arsenal is surprisingly low-tech. Check out that metal canister with the bellows attachment. It's called a smoker, used by honey harvesters for thousands of years. The beekeeper lights natural materials like pine needles inside the chamber, creating cool smoke pumped into the hive entrance. The smoke works effectively by masking the bees' alarm pheromones, disrupting their communication system. When bees detect smoke, they associate it with potential forest fires, triggering them to gorge on honey in preparation for abandoning their home. With full honey stomachs, they become less aggressive and more focused on their potential emergency than on attacking the beekeeper. Look at how carefully our beekeeper selects which frames to harvest. They're looking for frames where at least 80% of the cells have been capped with wax, a crucial indicator that the honey has reached the perfect moisture content. Honey harvested too early with high moisture content runs the risk of fermenting, which would ruin the batch. The beekeeper gently brushes away any remaining bees before placing selected frames in a transport box. But once nature has done its part, the beekeeper steps in with centuries of wisdom and modern techniques to safely harvest this liquid gold. The timing of harvest is critical, and it's directly tied to the local flora, which not only ensures abundant nectar sources, but also creates distinct honey varieties with unique flavors and properties. Now for something really impressive. Migratory beekeeping. Professional beekeepers don't just manage hives in one location. They follow the bloom across the country as different crops flower at different times. During the night, when most bees are safely inside, hundreds of hives are loaded onto specialized trucks. These commercial pollination operations travel thousands of miles annually between California's vast almond orchards, Washington's apple country, and Florida's citrus groves throughout a single year. The logistics are staggering, coordinating the transportation of millions of bees across state lines, ensuring they arrive healthy and ready to work. These operations are timed with military precision to coincide with peak blooming periods, creating a win-win for both farmers who need pollination and beekeepers who collect different honey varieties with their distinct characteristics. Those honey frames aren't just sitting around after harvest. They're rushed to processing facilities in climate-controlled trucks. The temperature inside these vehicles hovers right around 35 degrees Celsius, which turns out to be the magic number where honey stays perfectly fluid without losing any of its natural properties. It's like a first-class ride for honey, ensuring it arrives at the factory in prime condition. When the frames reach the facility, they begin their journey through modern processing. First comes the uncapping stage. The honey is locked behind wax caps that bees carefully created, and facilities use heated knives and automated uncapping machines to slice away just the wax caps without damaging the honeycomb structure. These machines process hundreds of frames every hour with remarkable precision. Here, centuries-old bee craftsmanship meets industrial engineering, preserving the delicate honeycomb architecture that bees spent countless hours building. This preservation means bees won't waste energy rebuilding later, a perfect example of how industrial efficiency and sustainability work together. Next in the process comes extraction. The uncapped frames get loaded into giant stainless steel drums, industrial honey extractors that hold dozens of frames at once. These spin at carefully controlled speeds, using centrifugal force to pull honey outward and away from the comb. The honey collects on the walls of the extractor before flowing down to collection points. Some advanced facilities enhance this process with ultrasonic technology, using sound waves to release more honey while being gentler on the delicate comb structure. After extraction comes filtration, where the golden liquid flows through a series of increasingly fine filters. The process starts with coarse screens catching obvious items like wax bits or occasional bee parts, then moves to progressively finer filters, trapping particles as small as 100 microns, about the width of a human hair. These filters are specially designed to remove unwanted particles while preserving all the beneficial compounds that make honey so special. A major challenge throughout processing is honey's notorious stickiness. Processing facilities warm the honey to between 35 and 49 degrees Celsius, reducing its viscosity for easier pumping and processing. The engineering solutions are impressive. Heated pipes prevent honey from thickening. Non-stick coatings cover surfaces to prevent buildup, and precision pumps move this thick liquid efficiently without creating air bubbles. Some cutting-edge facilities even recover honey molecules from the air using specialized ventilation systems that capture microscopic honey particles. This attention to detail demonstrates the lengths processors go to maximize yield while maintaining quality. The entire extraction process takes place in closed-loop systems that minimize exposure to air and potential contamination. This approach protects honey quality while dramatically increasing production capacity. Modern extraction lines process thousands of pounds of honey per hour while maintaining strict quality standards, transforming the bees' meticulous work into the golden jars we find on store shelves. Before honey ever graces your table, it endures a rigorous gauntlet of scientific tests that even the sharpest detectives would envy. In a world where honey is among the most frequently adulterated foods, each golden batch faces scrutiny that would impress a forensic investigator. Those sweet jars on store shelves have passed tests that can detect imposters down to a single drop of added syrup. Inside the quality control laboratory, a high-tech treasure hunt for honey authenticity, technicians take samples from each batch for comprehensive analysis. First comes the moisture test using specialized refractometers that measure how light bends through the honey. This reveals whether moisture content falls below the critical 20% threshold needed for shelf stability. Excess moisture doesn't just affect texture, it creates an environment where unwanted yeast can ferment the sugars, ruining entire batches. The testing journey continues with near-infrared spectroscopy, technology that creates a molecular fingerprint of the honey's composition. This technique instantly flags any honey containing unauthorized additives, like corn syrup or sugar substitutes that might otherwise go undetected. The machine analyzes how different wavelengths of light interact with honey molecules, creating a unique signature that reveals its true composition. This technology allows us to detect even small amounts of adulteration that would be impossible to identify through taste or visual inspection alone, explains one quality control manager. The spectroscopy results appear on monitors as distinctive wave patterns, with any irregularities triggering additional testing protocols. Color assessment follows using the industry-standard Fund color scale. Technicians measure color with remarkable precision, assigning ratings from water white 0 to 8 millimeters to dark amber over 114 millimeters. This seemingly simple measurement actually has significant commercial implications, affecting grading, pricing, and market positioning. Premium and specialty honey undergoes even more intensive scrutiny. Some facilities employ DNA analysis to verify botanical origin, confirming whether your orange blossom honey actually came from orange trees. Nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy provides another verification layer by confirming geographical origin, ensuring your Greek honey truly came from Greece. Throughout testing, trained tasters evaluate aroma, flavor, and texture, using their finely tuned senses to catch irregularities machines might miss. The amazing diversity among honeys, from nearly colorless to deep amber, comes entirely from floral sources. Honey captures a landscape's flowering plants, concentrated into liquid form. Orange blossom honey delivers light color with subtle citrus notes, while buckwheat honey emerges dark and robust with strong molasses-like flavor. Each variety contains unique compounds directly influenced by flower nectar sources. Quality control also monitors temperature throughout production, verifying honey maintains optimal warmth for efficient flow without damaging delicate compounds. Technicians check filtration efficiency, ensuring the process removes unwanted particles while preserving beneficial enzymes and pollen that give honey its character and health benefits. Every jar of honey tells the story of its journey from flower to hive to bottle, notes one facility manager. Our job is to preserve that story while ensuring safety and authenticity. And there we have it, the complete journey from flower to your breakfast table. What's truly amazing is how modern innovation works alongside nature's timeless chemistry in perfect harmony. A partnership that bridges prehistoric wisdom with today's technology. Next time you're shopping for honey, explore the local varieties in your area. Each unique flavor profile tells you something about the flowers growing in your region. It's like tasting your local ecosystem in a jar. Now that you know the incredible journey behind every drop, look for quality indicators that reveal both botanical origins and proper processing. Nature's sweetener awaits, ready for you to appreciate its remarkable story with every golden spoonful.